Welcome back to the county seat. We are covering the topic of municipal elections. Joining us today for this conversation is Sonya Kintaro, who's the Chief Deputy Recorder for Salt Lake City, and Salt Lake County Clerk, Sherrie Swensen. Thank you both for joining us on the county seat. What I'd like to start with is, let's take a look at candidates for a minute. A lot of people, I mean, yeah, we've got things to discuss with elections themselves, but sometimes there's a problem just getting enough people to get involved to create a good race and a good selection for representation. What's the process of running?
They need to declare their candidacy, and there's a set date every year. It's July 1 through the 15th. If they're interested, they fill out a form, come to the city recorder's office, and either pay their fee or get a nomination petition going. Okay.
You can pay a fee without the nomination petition?
That's right. You can get a certain number of signatures and go door to door amongst the residents in your district, or say in the case of mayor, throughout the whole city.
And then
that takes in lieu of the fee.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, a lot of people probably wouldn't know that. So,
yeah.
When we get candidates running, you know, we present a slate of candidates. The biggest problem that I see in municipal elections, if I'm not mistaken, is when we get to, say, specifically primary election day, like we just did, voter turnout really can throw an election in an opposite direction and really may not represent the community very well just because of low voter turnout. What kind of problems does this present?
A person can lose an election by low voter turnout. If you don't make an effort to go to the polls or take advantage of all the early voting opportunities, you could lose an election by one vote.
Well, you've had some pretty close calls, haven't you, Sherrie?
We have. We've seen races as close as 1, 3, 5 votes. A school board race that was 1 vote difference, and so the decision is made by those who do show up.
Yeah, and so is there some concern that, like, I mean, are voter turnout so low sometimes that, like, some special interest group, bunch of guys that say want to elect a mayor who will push a big development through, can, you know, like, get all their buddies and go out? I mean, could it potentially be that you're not getting the best cross-board representation without those few, you know, when they're so closely run?
Absolutely, and the decisions made on a municipal level are so important. Those zoning issues, snow removal, fire protection, budgets for the city. And so it's really unfortunate because the candidates aren't as well recognized. They don't have a lot of money to spend on media. People just don't get involved and they don't show up, and so it's really disappointing.
Now, actually, not only the cities and the counties, but the state has been working very hard at correcting this problem with the development of a site. Can you fill us in a little bit on that, either one of you?
The Lieutenant Governor's office created a site where people can register online, and they put that into action just last year, and it's so convenient. You go onto the Lieutenant Governor's website and you can register without ever having to print off a form and mail it in or pick up a by-mail form in the post office.
What do you need to make that happen?
You need to have a valid Utah driver's license or state ID card, and then they capture your signature from your driver license application, and so it's a wonderful opportunity for people to just have that convenience.
Okay, and what other kind of information is on the site?
They have information about the candidates themselves. At the time of declaration, we allow the candidates to write a little biography of themselves and what their issues are. They send that to the Lieutenant Governor's office, the state election site, and with a sample ballot, you can also find out who they are.
Okay, and then there's information on where you go to vote, as well as where to register in case they don't want to. Do you have a problem with people that aren't online savvy? I mean, you know, it seems like we're shifting everything to websites and web-based, but how does somebody that doesn't understand that still navigate municipal government?
You know, sometimes it is. It's a difficult thing for some people to actually find information on a website. They may be savvy with the website, but if the website has not been done well, it's hard for them to get to the candidate list, for example, or to the early voting sites. All they have to do is call wherever the town that they live in or city, call the city recorder's office. And they're more than willing to help them, to walk them through the process of finding the information on the website, or to answer directly, or to give them a telephone number to call over at the county elections site.
So, Sherrie, I have a question for you. You know, if somebody's been in the habit for voting for, 30, 40 years or something in elections, you used to have to plan election day. You had to clear your calendar, make sure that you were available to get there in the polls in the hours. But that's changed now significantly, has it not? In other words, there's no excuse not to vote in a municipal election anymore other than just your lack of interest, and then you create problems in city government. So what's changed? Well,
for one thing, they've implemented early voting locations aside from the county clerk's office or city recorder's office. In 2006, they changed and gave us the ability to set up locations throughout the county, not just the county clerk's office or city recorders, where people could just go in if they prefer to vote early to any one of those locations, up to 2 weeks before the election and ending the Friday before the election. And they don't even have to go to a specific site. They can go to any one of the early voting locations and cast their ballot. We also have in-office voting that starts 20 days before the election. We have vote by mail. If they want their ballot mailed to them, we call it no excuse vote by mail. It used to be you had to have a reason that you couldn't get to your polling place, but now we have a huge vote by mail program. And for this coming election, we have over 82,000 people who will be automatically receiving their ballot because they've chosen to vote by mail, and that's ongoing for every election.
Wow. Do you think that a program like that, where you just send it to the people, do you think that will up the voter turnouts?
It has already. We've seen that happen consistently. The turnout in vote by mail is significantly higher. For instance, last year, where only 46% of the people actually voted at the polls, the remainder of those, we had about a 70% turnout of those ballots that were mailed out, returned. So it ups the turnout, definitely.
Okay, now I want to go back and address this thing. You said that you can handle your voting any of your functions at those remote sites, even though it's not where you live. And that, I guess for a commuting population, that becomes extremely important. Now, is that countywide or is that statewide?
Well, if you have an early vote location in a city recorder's office, they should be able to handle any of them. But we do, in Salt Lake County, we have the ability to have someone go to any city recorder's office. If they work in Salt Lake and they live in Sandy, they can go to the Salt Lake City Library. That's one of our early vote locations. And it makes it very convenient because people don't have to get back to their own neighborhood in order to vote.
They can do it at lunch during work when they're downtown.
On election day, however, they must go to their assigned polling location.
Okay, well, there you go. We're going to continue our conversation here with the city recorders and the county clerks here in Salt Lake, and we're going to find out a little bit more about elections and some of the things that you can do as a viewer to participate more in local government by, voting. We'll be right back with more of the county seat. Stay with us.
Imagine a place where the world's largest concentration of scenic attractions can be found, where radiant cliffs of 2 national parks and 3 state parks tower to kiss the azure sky. Come and visit any one of the many memorable sites and events that Bryce Canyon Country, Garfield County, Utah has to offer. Drive along National Scenic Byway 143 and All-American Road Highway 12 and experience the ultimate adventure.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.
So, what brings you to town?
What brings anyone to St. George? A couple rounds of golf, a little relaxation.
What is that all?
Is there more? In a retirement community? Should have stuck with the back nine.
Fall in love with fall, Logan, Utah.